I'm joined by members of the Team Liquid coach and management staff. We've got Steve Perino, who is the general manager. I believe that's your current title for the team. We've got Mark, who's an analyst, head analyst.
Head analyst.
Yeah, he does a lot more than just head analyst.
Head analyst, kind of team mom. Of course, we've got Peter over there, who's the coach for the team. You can see him in the newest Team Liquid show as the guy with the subtitles. Yeah. Anyway, the reason I'm sitting down with all these wonderful gentlemen today is to discuss the benching of Piglet, which has obviously been a very big topic of discussion amongst the community and conversations about if Perino was being horrible to him and attacking him during a stream, and about how much support Piglet's been getting. I mean, it's a very serious topic as well. So anyway, just a couple questions for you guys, and maybe we can just start off with a sort of longer answer from one of you guys. I don't know who wants to take it, about the arc of what, from your guys' perspective, brought TL to the point of benching Piglet.
You want that? Yeah, I'll take that. So, we got Piglet, I think it was in late November or something when he first came over, and obviously there's going to be like a learning period where we need to figure out how he works, who he is as a person, how he interacts, that kind of stuff, as well as like translation, cultural, like all those kind of other issues that show up. And so by the time he went home to Korea, I think we had handled a lot of those issues, but there were obviously still some. And when he came back, I think the first week or two was all right, but we didn't see like improvement, and a lot of problems weren't being solved. And so it got to a breaking point where we had like a lot of like arguments as a team after scrims one day, and that's what led to like a big team meeting where we like kind of addressed everyone. All the players talked to each other about their problems with each other, and then we talked to everyone about what we expected of them going forward to improve. And some players like improved, and some we didn't see that from. And so, the next week, after having another disappointing performance and still having all these issues and a lot of them not being solved, we decided to bench Piglet for the week.
So one of the first questions I have is just, it feels like a lot of this stretches all the way back to even before the start of this year in December, when we saw this big video about Piglet having struggles with the team and feeling very lonely and on his own. And so one of the big questions I have for you guys is how much support was provided to him. I mean, even in the show, it feels like he's just not really talking. So were there translators? I mean, how much support was he getting to make sure that he was able to succeed in the environment in the first place?
I can take that. Yeah. So we, as an organization, I feel like did everything we could to make Piglet feel like at home. People saw the Quest video, but it wasn't just that. It was like us going out to get Korean barbecue all together. Like we would just like include him in every single thing we did. It was like he was never an outcast. And even team meetings, we made sure if we didn't have a translator in person, we went through like 7 translators. Like we've had so many translators. There's always somebody around that can say Piglet's thoughts. And with game stuff, he actually does understand like a lot of it himself. You just like when it gets to like details, like you definitely need a translator. But yeah, it's been like a work in progress, like going through from one translator. All right, like this guy knows Korean really well, but he doesn't understand League of Legends. So like finding like the perfect person, because Piglet also talks in like a lot of slang, and like someone that learned like traditional Korean we learned is like really hard. Like for example, we had a night one time where we were like, Piglet, you can't stream until you finish your English practice, and he somehow, the translator like said you can't stream, and of course he was really upset, and we were like, no, like what happened, like that's not what we said. So like it's just been a lot of like speed bumps with the language barrier, but he's definitely getting a lot better at English as well.
Does it, I mean, when I interviewed Xpecial last week, I think it was, there's been all these kind of like general allusions to, the team just isn't syncing up or whatever. Has it been an issue? You mentioned he hasn't ever been treated like an outcast or anything, but what has been the situation with him in terms of like meshing with the team? Does it feel as though it's just not working? Is that a big factor in this?
I think that there's like two sides of it. Like there's the out of game side, and then there's the meshing of in game. Out of game, I think it's awesome if the guys are all friends, but we just like ask them to all like respect each other, and you live with them, you're with them all the time. So like just be like as good of a person as you can. Like try and be a friend. So there's that part of it, and then there's like in game. Like sometimes I think our thoughts, like the team's thoughts, are a little maybe different than what Piglet's used to or what Piglet wants. And I think Mark might be able to elaborate a little more on that.
Sure. So there's like a lot of team issues outside of just like Piglet's interactions in the team. And so I know this was a concern for some people, was like if we were trying to pin all our problems on Piglet and like, oh, if we bench him, we're going to be great and stuff like that. But that's not like the case. There's like, when we made the decision, we like mapped out how our team interacted in every single way, how each player had those problems, because we addressed those in that meeting before. And the question we ask is like, if we remove this player, what happens? Like, how's the team dynamic change? And a lot of the things that we came up with was like, some issues would still be there. And we felt like the best option was probably seeing how the team worked without Piglet for a week and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of leads into my next question is I feel like this is kind of a similar thing going on over in Europe, maybe with Elements, where they benched Wicked, and then it seems as though the team still had a lot of issues this week following that. Is there a chance that Piglet is just like the scapegoat, right? That because I mean, you guys did just beat TSM. Congratulations on that, though it felt like kind of a strange ending. But you did lose yesterday. Like, is it really Piglet that is like? Should you have benched him? I mean, or is this just not really solving anything?
So the way I look at it, and how Peter and Steve have always looked at it, is like the regular season, how you're performing isn't a big deal. Like, obviously you want to be first place and winning every game, but the important thing is when you look into the future and you look at week 10, where are you going to be? And like, can you, obviously you don't know for sure, but can you see the problems that you have right now being solved? And the answer was no. We couldn't solve the problems. We had tried team meetings. We had like this big discussion. And, at the end of the week, we're in the exact same spot we were before that meeting. And so something has to change at that point if you're not going to improve by week 10. And that's kind of how we thought about it. So that's kind of what led to our decision. And like yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So from my side, there's one stuff I want to talk about is when we go in the screen, usually Piglet is a very good player, and he always has his very own mind. So when I pick team comp for a team, I always want to pick a team comp very suitable for Piglet. So he is comfortable to play. But sometimes I talk about it in the show. It's like in this patch, usually if I want to Piglet farm, always I need to sacrifice my jungle or my top side. While this two probably is our best part right now. You can see the Dom and the Quas performance this week. So, but I need someone, like I need my AD carry, give up some farm, do more team stuff. And while Keys is really suited for that. That's why, and that's, like Mark said, like in game, this part is which make me decide to bench Piglet for a week, because I want to see if I do this style for the team, is it better for our team to improve? Yeah. That's the main stuff.
This is very interesting to hear, Peter, because I feel like a lot of the response from the community seems to be of the mind that this is like Piglet has attitude issues or whatever, and it sounds like to me you're suggesting that maybe it's just like Piglet might just not fit well on the team from like his style of play. So it's kind of interesting.
It's a little bit of both, honestly. Like, if we were crushing every game and there were attitude issues, like, who knows what we do. Yeah. But like, there are some attitude problems and like team synergy problems. It's like a combination of everything that leads to that decision.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of leads into the future, which I'd love to talk about, is you guys just beat TSM. Yesterday, Keith told me in an interview that while Leituken had departed yesterday, he would be arriving today, and it seems as though that's what happened. You guys just won in a very, very strange way. Lots to talk about in that game. But did you guys just beat TSM? Does like Keith just stay on the team because you've dethroned the gods, right?
So let me talk about the next week our plan for Team Liquid. It's like because Keith is still studying in the school, which he can take the morning scrim, but we still want to try out Piglet for our team, because we want to do is we're going to use Piglet for the morning set and use Keys for night set, like next week. So then we can see how Piglet involved for our team right now.
So then who plays next weekend at the LCS?
I think it should be Keith. We should still use Keith for next week LCS.
So when does Piglet have a chance to come back in and play again?
It depends on his performance actually. So yeah, Jordan can take that.
So we had during our last meeting with Piglet, where we told him of his benching. It wasn't just like, hey, you're benched. We actually printed out it's like 3-page thing translated in Korean of things we want him to work on. And if we feel like he's worked on all of those things and we see it in the scrims that we'll be using him with this week, then it makes our decision a lot harder. But right now, he's kind of taking a very lax approach where he's just kind of hanging out, having fun in the house, which, is good for him because he was under a lot of stress. But moving forward, we need to see like improvement on those areas before we come to the decision of who's our AD carry for the rest of the season.
So, Steve, is there a chance that Piglet will never participate in the LCS with Team Liquid again?
Yeah, I can say that there's a chance, but I think we want him back, but we need to see improvement on the sheet again.
In that scenario, is Keith the automatic replacement, or would you hold like tryouts?
I think right now he's the most suitable for our team. I think our guys really like him. He brings like a very young energy. Players like Dom, Special have been around for a while. This is kind of like every day for them. And you bring in like someone like Keith and like Double Lift walks down the hallway. He's like, oh my God, it's Double Lift. Like it's like kind of like bringing a new energy to the team, which is something that I think we were lacking. So although like losing a player like Piglet has a lot of downsides, Keith has like these other sort of qualities that I think can help our team.
Feels like the community can start creating like a hashtag Team Piglet, hashtag Team Keith thing. Is that so? How would you feel about that,
they
Mark?
can actually decide for us what we do.
Okay, Reddit's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Reddit,
Reddit's great. They'll
I
just
love Reddit.
they'll teach you everything you need to know about running a team.
So please be good to me.
Okay, be good to you.
Yeah,
Okay,
Don't blame me on Twitter.
don't flame. Yeah. Actually, I mean, maybe not as you kind of commented on in a Reddit thread about this, Steve. But I don't want to spend too much time on it since it's not the point. But any thoughts on the treatment of you after the Reddit detectives found the video of you messing with Piglet?
So I'm gonna flat out say it was like so unwarranted. You can ask anyone around the team. It doesn't even have to be Team Liquid people. I have like me and Piglet are very, very close. Like actually this whole decision has been like even harder because like I do like me and Piglet are together all the time. Like we're just laughing, messing with each other. And I felt like really like that it was really unjustified to take a 4-second clip of me not even pressing his button, like just going over pretending, and now his reaction's like, no, like that's Piglet, right? But yeah, it's just like it kind of hurt my feelings because it's the exact opposite. Is like it's because me and him have this like awesome relationship that I'm able to like go over and mess with him, and like later that night, there's nothing. Like we didn't even think about it until there was a Reddit thread, and he found out. He was like, "What? Like no." Yeah. And yeah, so I would say for myself, I'm a very nice person, and yeah, I don't.
That's exactly what a very mean person would say.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm very mean. But yeah, no, I just thought it was pretty unjustified, and anyone that's watched Piglet stream since day one, I've been on there like messing around with Piglet, and that was the one time that I think he's actually kind of like not laughed or like had a response that was positive. So. Yeah, I think the last thing that should be in question is like my relationship with the players.
Any final or closing thoughts that you guys want to communicate to, besides I'm a nice guy, that you guys want to communicate to Team Liquid fans out there and people watching your team?
I'd just like to say thanks for supporting us. This is obviously not what anyone anticipated or wanted at the start of the season, and it's like a tough time for fans. I'm sure it's a tough time for all of us to be like going through this, and the future is still uncertain. So I understand that can feel weird, but people who support us, thank you, and keep sticking with us.
Well, thanks to all three of you guys for sitting down with me for this talk. It's always good to get I appreciate how transparent you guys are being about what's going on behind the scenes. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage of all things esports at ongamers.com.